Hello and welcome to Cindershadow Gaming. I'm your host Cindershadow, and today we're talking about pre-release. Today we've got the Kaldheim spoilers. They're all done, but once they're done, you can start looking forward to your pre-release. So I've done this with other sets. We'll put things together. I go through this. It takes a little bit longer to put this together. This is the pre-release card generator. This is from mtgen.net. They're one of the few card generators you can use to try and prep yourself for what it's like to get one of these pools. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to look at this set, and I'm going to make a pool, and then you turn around. It's easiest if you go by rarity and in cost. It's kind of difficult with this one because you can't just filter by two things at once. It only lets you do one at a time. It kind of can do it by two if you go rarity, and then in that slot you can do it by cost and have an idea there, and in color. We'll get into it. It kind of shows you. Now here you can select Kaldheim pre-release pack and Kaldheim draft boosters. So obviously with the pre-release you get 6 draft boosters and you get your promo, and they added it in there. They've had this site up for quite a long time, so it does show that they are there. Now, there was a rare Snowland. Faceless Heaven no longer appears in the Snowland slot, only rare slot. So there's certain things in this that do get updated as things get generated and bugs get worked out, but they're fairly quick on this. This is one of the 2 sites I like to use. There is also another one called Draft Sim, but I like to use them for drafting practice or whatever for the sets going forward. And just to give an idea, so you select your Kaldheim booster and then your 6 booster drafts. You can sit there and toggle this if you want to play with the sets and just have fun with this overall. If you ever want to play against your friends, say you've gone quite a length into the season of a new set and you want to play with your friends and mix things up, this is one thing that you can do. And then if you have all the cards in Arena, you can fight them, or on MTGO. It's kind of interesting in that sense. So we do generate my sets. It comes up, and first it comes up just kind of a little bit more random. It does it by pack, and what you want to do right away is just go rarity under 7 sets, and then it's all cards, so you get 101 cards, and now it does it by rarity. So first off, if you have any mythics, they would show up. We have a pack that came with no mythics, it seems, whatsoever. However, we got, it says 7 rare there, but I'm counting, oh no, it's showing both sides of certain rares, that's why. So right off the bat, we have Cyclone Summoner, we have a Darkboar Slitherboar Pathway, which is a double-sided modal card, Eska's Chariot, which isn't too bad of a vehicle just because it creates the tokens for the vehicle. In Search of Greatness, this card is absolutely bonkers. In green, this is going to probably give you quite an upper hand. There's not a lot of enchantment or artifact removal. Usually with these, they do tend to throw in a couple, but they're mostly in green or white, so you do kind of gotta look at that. You got the Righteous Valkyrie, the Runeforged Champion. The Runeforged Champion is probably something we're not going to even look at unless we have enough runes in white to even use it, so it's not even that good. And then we got, as a, this indicates your pre-release promo would have been a Tide Channel Bark Channel Pathway flip card. So that's the rares that you would have got, and rares, they're kind of, you just put them to the side and you look at them later. Uncommons and commons is where you're going to want to look at. Your uncommons are probably going to make the most sense to start with a lot of these pre-releases. So in uncommons, 18 of them. So you get a Blizzard Brawl, a Stronghold. Now in this, we can go by color, which is kind of nice, and it really doesn't give us a lot by color for uncommons. The white, you got the rune in white, so that is a possibility. 2 frost augurs, which is kind of nice. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a snow card, you may reveal it. Put it in your hand. He's a 1/2 for 1, which isn't too bad. Human wizard, there is, I believe, a thing that means stuff for wizards. Rune of speed, which is okay. You do get a couple of the dual color cards. Herald, King of Seminar, he's not bad. He enters the battlefield. Look at the top 5 cards. You may reveal an elf, warrior, or Tyvar card from among them. Put it into your hand. So this is something that's hopefully going to find you something. It would have been nice if this looks for a land, then that way you're probably going to get something almost all the time off of it. We got 3 seasons, which surprisingly enough, I believe this is decent. Mill 3 cards, return up to 2 target snow permanent cards from... Actually, no, this is going to be pretty bad. Choose 3 cards. Yeah, you're not going to run this in draft or in sealed. This isn't that great of a card. Returning stuff from the graveyard is something I generally don't try to do in a sealed event because you maybe get it off once in all the games you play. You've got to line so many things up for it to work really well, so it just doesn't seem to work very well. Dwarven Hammer is okay. Replicating Ring is okay. It is mana ramp, so really it counts for snow. If you care about snow, you might play this. Mana ramp, you might play this. It is 3. Yeah, it's okay. Rune Crown enters the battlefield. You may search your library, hand, and or graveyard for a rune card once again. And then this just gives +1/+1 for it equip 2. This is something that I'm probably not even going to look at. The Burgard Stronghold and the Port of Carfell. Once again, those are 2 cards you look at after you've built the deck and go, can I add them into the deck? Do they make sense? Forcing your deck into green, white, and black, blue in this sense doesn't make sense unless you have the deck already there going to play it. Once again, we've got 4 dual snowlands. We didn't get any basic snowlands. Are they at the bottom? They might be at the very bottom. No, we even got more snowlands. No, we got no basic snowlands, which is really unfortunate. That's not something you want to look at. There's quite a few of those, which is very surprisingly enough. At this point, I would be looking in the commons. I didn't see in here any real removal. Blizzard Brawl is about the only actual removal you got in uncommon, which we're gonna go back to those then. So you got to go and look through your commons for some removal. You got Broken Wings. I do like Broken Wings in a sealed or limited format just because it does hit artifact, enchantment, or creatures with flying. We do deal with runes. There is quite a bit of sagas here, so enchantment removal is probably something you may want to look at. Artifact removal, people tend to play more equipment in a sealed environment, so that is another thing. And then flying, if you do go in green, protection against flying, because green is normally weak against flying, it does make sense to put that in there. You've got Disdainful Stroke, the counters. I don't usually run counters in a sealed event just because they take up a card slot, and half the time they're a dead card in your hand unless you're just going to get rid of something. You get stuck with the counter, and then you counter one thing and it just never seems to go off very well. You got 3 of this Horizon Seeker, which when you have multiples of a certain card, usually it is a nice indication to try and stack that up. You're going to be more pronounced to do that. Now this, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it in your hand, isn't that bad on a 3/2 warrior. That is important, it being a warrior there as well. We also have a changeling here, which isn't too bad. We have an elf warrior, 5/5. This 5/5 is surprisingly not too bad in a sealed environment. And then we have Infernal Pet, also 3 of those. So that's kind of filling in a lot of your creature count. Unfortunately, it's at the 3 casting cost. I would much rather them be 2 casting costs when you're stacking up like that. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a 1/1 counter on Infernal Pet. It also gains flying. The flying is huge. The 1/1 and flying, it's quite good. If you have things, if you start being able to cast from your graveyard, then that kind of does come into play. This Icehide Troll being able to do indestructible for 2 snow mana is pretty important. Tap it. This is, once again, back to regeneration. Regeneration used to drop damage and you would tap it. This, once again, is doing the same thing. It gets +2/+0, gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. So if you're on the offensive, then you activate it after you attack. If you're on the defensive before your turn and they're trying to kill it, you declare your block, then you do it. So it's not so bad. Invoke Divine, I would much rather run Broken Wings because you do get that flying removal. Pilfering Hawk in blue isn't bad. Mistwalker in blue because you've got the flyers. Flyers are sometimes some of the best. Mass Vandal in green. The fact that this thing is common is pretty good. You may exile a creature card from a graveyard. If you do, exile target artifact or enchantment and opponent controls. It's too bad it only targets artifact or enchantment. It would have been nice if it could have gotten rid of a creature, but your graveyard is going to be full of creatures, so this is once again one of those cards that's decent to go after. It's a shapeshifter changeling, so it counts as every creature type, so once again that's another huge one. Snakeskin Veil, huge card, especially to get 2 of them in green. We're looking at building a green deck solely based on those. Way down, those are 2 big ones in black. As additional cost to cast the spell, exile creature card from your graveyard once again. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. So that's big. Village Rites is pretty good. So yeah, green-black is definitely where I'm looking at. Now, did we get any green-black that was the lands? I don't actually see any green-black lands. Jarl of the Forsaken, when it enters the battlefield, it destroys target creature or planeswalker opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. This, because it has flash, can be like a trap card with the Foretell ability. This is going to be one of your better removals out of this, and because you're looking at green-black at this point, you want anything that boosts them and makes them live. Glittering Frost you probably run just to, because this is a snow enchantment and it creates a snow land and it creates double mana. So that'll be something that you got to look at. Otherwise, I'm not looking at too terribly much. We got the Cinderheart Giant. It's super expensive, but in sealed event, it's nice to have a couple beefcakes when your deck is going down. Having Herald, King of Selmar, 2 of them. If they get rid of one, you have a second one. You got the Blizzard Brawl. And then what do you have in the rares? You do have the Darkboar Slitherborn Pathway. That is actually pretty big. You do have the Eska's Chariot. In Search of Greatness, you're just running this regardless because getting a free casted 3-drop on turn 3 is huge, especially if you're looking at playing 3 Infernal Pets, 3 Horizon Seekers. That means one of these is coming down for free and you will be able to have the mana for the next one straight up. That's pretty big. Having that free cast, the Gladewalker, the Spider, the Grizzled Outrider. Normally I wouldn't play it because of how vanilla it is, but it is a 5/5 for 5, so it's not overly that bad. It's probably would be one of the first things I would drop out of the deck overall, but it's not that bad when it does come down to it. Dragar Recruiter with the Boast, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand for 4. I wish this was kind of to the battlefield, but that would be completely busted with today's meta. In a draft scenario or a sealed scenario, this isn't too bad. Deathkneel Berserker is an elf, so once again that's something you can fetch up. It's really looking like black, green, elf, warriors, changeling sort of deck. It's not looking ultimately that bad. With the 2 Snakeskin Veils, you can kind of protect your own. You've got a Struggle for Selmar, put a 1/1 counter, then fight, so this is removal. It has a Foretell cost of 1, so that's actually really good. I just wish it was an instant, because then you can make it a lot better than the Foretell and doing the split casting. Otherwise, you're just going to cast this normally. I believe Hunter's Revenge or something like that was the same thing for that casting cost. So Foretell is nice, but it's not going to be that great. Village Rites, a little bit of acceleration. Yeah, I would be looking at green, black. Now the thing with MTG EN is you can't just sit there and click them and actually build out your deck. You've got to kind of play along with that. If you do it in Draft Sim, they do things and your draft deck's a lot easier. I'll show you that real quick. So each program has their own niche and things. If you're kind of looking at Draft Sim, that's where this one is. You can easily sit there and change your zoom, and then you'll be able to see things a little bit easier, but at the same time you don't. So I've zoomed in. This is 170%, so I might as well go to 200. Now you can see the cards a lot better when you zoom into 200. And what's nice about Draft Sim is on the side here, when you click a card, it moves it to the side just under where my face is right now. So then you can have a better idea on what it looks like, and you can deselect them. Same with lands. You click on basic lands, you can put them in there quite easily. Just going to take a quick look at this. Was there anything crazy that we got out of there? Just for the giggles of it. Lots of multicolored cards. We did get a god, a green god. See, Woodland Chasm, we didn't get that in the other one, which would have been nice. You do have Narfi, whatever his name is, however you pronounce that. So we did get a mythic in there. But yeah, once again, this is something you can play with and go through them. Both those programs, you don't need to sign up for anything. You literally just go to the websites and you do it. Usually I just do it through Google or your search engine. The first one's an MTGEN. It will come up. And the other one is Draft Sim. Well, that's how you kind of prep for a pre-release. That's how I've always done it as I've looked at these. Now, it's not the same right now because we can't go to a store and play in a pre-release right now. It's whatever. So you do get the opportunity to do this if you play it on MTGO or if you play it on MTG Arena. These are two sites that are ready to go right now that you can go to, have some fun with experimenting with the cards and a sealed or draft pool, and then you just enjoy. Normally, I would say if you're going to your pre-release event, things you want to bring is pre-sleeved lands. I tend to run 10 to 15 of each color of land and pre-sleeve them in the sleeves I'm going to use for the event. It just speeds things up. When you have a limited amount of time to make a sealed deck, that is something you can do. But with these online programs, that time is not so limited, so you do get a little bit more just to play with. You don't have to worry about them. Yeah, and that's the way things are. There are people out there that do sit there with every set. They will make a paper copy of the cards and do it with friends. And they really go to the next level of trying to practice for these events. Myself, I just go for fun. I try to play them. I try to experiment. And honestly, no matter how much prep you do with a pre-release event, you still got to play with the cards you're given. And if you know what you're looking at, if you know certain things, it is handy to look up certain combos and know them. And then you just sit there and go, well, look, I got this combo. I can put it together and go from there. Really, you're going to always look at your uncommons and commons first, and then play your rares and mythics afterwards. Mix in the lands that you may have opened. That's quite simply the easiest way to do it, and then you make a 40-card deck. Anyway, guys, I hope this helps. I hope this little bit of a guide to pre-release for Kaldheim was informative and helpful, and if you did like it, do hit the subscribe button down below. We are growing. I'm trying to upload daily, and I will see you guys next time.